On the day I made an appointment with my parents for dinner, we waited in the restaurant from day till night, but Sophia never showed up. I called her, but not a single call got through. Then, out of the corner of my eye, I saw a post from her first love on social media. In the photo, he was sitting in a car, beaming with joy, wearing a familiar wristwatch. The caption read, "Thanks for the birthday gift, Sophia. I love it." I stared at his post and silently gave it a like. Later, I told her, "If you like him, then marry him." Sophia's eyes turned slightly red, and her voice trembled as she said, "You're my boyfriend." I smiled and replied, "Not anymore. I stopped being your boyfriend the moment you gave him that wristwatch." The story is about to begin. If you like it, don't forget to subscribe. Before seeing the post from Sophia's first love, David, on WeChat Moments, I was still making excuses for her absence. Now, with the truth right in front of me, I felt a near, suffocating sense of impending doom. The wristwatch on his hand, I had seen it at home, carefully hidden in the corner of the wardrobe by her. I had told her more than once that I really liked this brand of wristwatch because there was a matching ring series, symbolizing a couple. At that time, I thought Sophia was finally thinking about getting married, and I was full of anticipation. I also thought that the reason Sophia invited my parents to dinner today was to talk about marriage. But in the end, she was the one who arranged the gathering and also the one who didn't show up. I stared at the photo David posted, my eyes stinging, and something inside me seemed to be crumbling bit by bit. My mom noticed the change in my mood and asked worriedly, "Is something wrong?" I forced a grim smile and said, "Let's not wait anymore. Let's eat." My mom looked at me, puzzled, and asked, "Are you sure we don't need to wait a little longer?" I waved my hand and replied, "No, and we won't need to wait in the future either." I said calmly and picked up my chopsticks to start eating. The food on the table had been served for a long time. Because we were waiting for Sophia, the food had been reheated again and again. Now, when it was in my mouth, it had long lost its original deliciousness. My mom sensed something was off but didn't ask further. My dad, who had been impatient for a while, left with my mom after taking a few bites. I also left, carrying the gift I had prepared for Sophia. After I came out, I wandered aimlessly on the street. It was already 10 o'clock at night. There were few people on the street, and even the passing vehicles had visibly decreased. Just then, Sophia called. I ignored her call and hailed a taxi to go home. As soon as I entered the door, I heard her angry voice, "Who did you go out with? Why are you coming back so late?" My heart skipped a beat. I tightened my grip on the gift in my hand and asked expressionlessly, "Sophia, do you remember what you promised me this morning?" This morning, when Sophia went to work, I was afraid she would forget the evening's appointment, so I specifically reminded her, hoping she would come early and make a good impression on my parents. At that time, Sophia smiled and promised, "Today I'm meeting your parents." How could I forget such an important thing? Sophia froze, and a look of guilt flashed across her eyes. It seemed she remembered what she had said in the morning. She apologized, "Sorry, there were so many things going on at the company today that I forgot." As she spoke, Sophia walked towards me and reached out to hug me, but I quietly dodged. But as she got closer, I smelled a faint scent of flower tea on her, which was the smell of the tea house David often went to. Sophia's eyes widened in surprise, seemingly not expecting me to avoid her. She looked at me and asked guiltily, "James, are you angry?" I looked at Sophia coldly and asked softly, "Did you really forget the appointment because of work today? Are you doubting me?" Sophia's clear voice carried a hint of displeasure. Looking at Sophia, who seemed to be getting angry out of embarrassment, I suddenly felt she was so strange. Or perhaps, she had never shown her true self in front of me. I took a deep breath and continued, "Sophia, let's break up." I had called her name countless times, but never as indifferently as I did now. Sophia's body stiffened, and her eyes turned cold. She almost gritted her teeth and said, "What did you say?" We had always been measured in our interactions with each other. Every time we realized a fight was about to start, we would change the topic in another way because fights hurt our relationship. I didn't want to fight, but that didn't mean this method could be used forever. I said, "We're breaking up. I'm giving you your freedom." I thought this way of breaking up was decent, without any pestering or resentment after the breakup. Sophia didn't say anything. Her eyes stayed on my face for a long time. She looked at me in disbelief and asked, "Just because of this little thing, you're going to make a fuss?" I met Sophia's gaze and silently walked into the room. Behind me, Sophia's angry voice came, "James, explain yourself. What on earth are you doing?" I opened the wardrobe on my own and took out all the clothes in the corner. The small red velvet box that Sophia had hidden in the corner before was indeed gone. I pointed at the empty space, swallowed the bitterness in my throat, and replied word by word, "Today you were the one who invited my parents to dinner, But you were with another man on his birthday, and you gave him a wristwatch that has the same meaning as the ring. Sophia, what do you expect me to think? I hadn't planned to be so straightforward with her, but I also didn't want to be seen as petty, so I might as well make it clear. Sophia, however, didn't seem to care. She frowned and said coldly, so I missed dinner today. I can invite them again tomorrow. As for the wristwatch, it's just an ordinary ornament. Why are you making such a big deal out of it? If you want one, I can buy you several tomorrow. Sophia was always like this, simplifying things about me. Because in her opinion, anything that could be solved with money wasn't a problem. A sarcastic smile curled my lips, and I said calmly, no need. Let whoever likes you buy it for you. I made up my mind about breaking up on my way back. Continuing like this is really meaningless. Sophia couldn't understand my thoughts. She said coldly, you're not calm today. Let's talk when you calm down. With that, without waiting for me to speak, she turned around and walked out of the house. I stood there in silence, and the silence around me made me feel panicky. I had thought Sophia would readily agree to the breakup, but instead, she chose to avoid it this way. I suddenly felt a bit disgusted. If Sophia had someone she couldn't let go of, why did she keep me hanging around, making everyone unhappy? I took a while to calm myself down. Breaking up wasn't like confessing, it didn't need the consent of both people. After getting things out in the open, I no longer had a reason to stay there. My parents are both university professors. They came here this time just to attend an academic seminar and would leave in 5 days. I had nowhere to go for the time being, so I could only pack my bags and move to a hotel. When breaking up, it should be a clean break. After finishing these things, I deleted all of Sophia's contact information. When I calmed down, looking at the unfamiliar environment in front of me, I thought back to the past. I had a crush on Sophia for many years, but she didn't know. She only knew that we were from the same university and that I was her direct senior, just one of her many seniors. Sophia was very popular in school. She was the president of the student union in college, beautiful and outstanding, a goddess that everyone thought was out of reach. Knowing that Sophia liked small animals and had even set up an animal protection association for this reason, in order to attract her attention, I tried my best to control my fear of small animals and created an image of loving small animals in front of her. I even spent time joining the student union just to be closer to her. After graduation, Sophia took over her family's company, while I was just an ordinary employee in her company. Perhaps because I was her direct senior, Sophia took care of me a lot, and I sank deeper and deeper into what I thought was her special affection for me. Thinking of these things, I laughed at myself. I only realized now that having too many dreams could make one lose touch with reality. While moving to the hotel, I was also looking for a suitable house. During this time, I went to work as usual. I was just a small employee in the company, and Sophia, as the executive president, wouldn't even notice my existence. But I didn't expect that in the afternoon, the manager brought explosive news. This is Mr. David, the new deputy manager of our department. Everyone should get along well in the future. Hearing the manager's words, the atmosphere in the office froze. Everyone's eyes fell on me, with curiosity, suspicion, and some just watching the show. I looked at him coldly. David looked at me and threw a provocative glance, as if saying, whatever I want, I can get, whether it's Sophia or this job. At this time, Sophia also came over with her assistant. Her indifferent eyes swept over everyone in the office. When she met my gaze, it was as if she was looking at a stranger, without any emotion. Although Sophia didn't say a word, she implicitly showed her stance. Seeing this, everyone started clapping, welcoming David. Back then, when I was trying to get this position, I invited Sophia to dinner for this reason and even joked with her, asking her to call me Deputy Manager James. Sophia must know how much I was looking forward to the day of taking up the post. I didn't need to think much to know that this was Sophia's way of warning me. But she didn't know that her competitor had offered me a job long ago, and the offer was permanent. Since I couldn't stay here any longer, I had to find another way. After the welcome ceremony ended, I immediately contacted the vice president of that company and explained my current situation. I had thought he would wait until my contract expired to recruit me, but he said he was willing to pay my liquidated damages and I could report to work next Monday. I had been in the marketing department for 4 years. Many of the outstanding collaborations in Sophia's company were the result of my hard work and socializing, drinking glass after glass. So I had quite a few resources in my hands, and that's why the competitor was willing to pay a high price to recruit me. I didn't agree immediately. Instead, I asked him to give me 2 days to consider. I had to plan for my future and couldn't make a blind choice. When it was time to get off work, for the first time, I packed my things and left work first. In the past, in order to improve work efficiency, I was always the last one to leave. My colleagues saw this and said I was slacking off because I didn't get promoted. I just smiled at their jokes without saying anything. But I didn't expect that as soon as I walked out of the company, I saw a car parked by the roadside. I pretended not to see it and walked towards the bus stop. David rolled down the window of the passenger seat and shouted, "James, come here quickly. We're waiting for you." There were still many colleagues from the company around. Hearing his words, they all looked at him. Afraid of being seen by my colleagues in the same office, I walked over with a cold face and asked, "What can I do for you, Manager David?" Regarding my address, David smiled and replied, "This isn't in the company. Just call me by my name." Sophia, sitting in the driver's seat, had a beautiful face showing aloofness. She didn't even give me a glance, but the frown between her brows showed a bit of impatience. David continued, "James, get in the car quickly. Today is my first day at work, and I thought of inviting you and Sophia to dinner." I waved my hand and replied, "No need. I'm not hungry." With that, I was about to leave. Sophia shot me a cold look and ordered indifferently, "Get in the car." I sneered at her and ignored her words, hailing a taxi by the roadside. Now that I was going to change jobs, the location of the house I chose had to change accordingly. After getting in the car, I started contacting the real estate agent, asking him to help me look for a house. Before finding a suitable one, I could only make do in the hotel. After dinner, I went out for a walk, hoping to find a suitable house nearby, but I didn't find any I liked. After washing up and lying on the bed, I took out my phone and opened WeChat Moments. I saw another post from David, which was a photo of them having dinner in a restaurant, posted 10 minutes ago. David didn't directly take a picture of Sophia's face, but he did capture her slender and fair hand. The bracelet on Sophia's wrist was very familiar to me. It was the birthday gift I bought her with my first salary. It wasn't as valuable as her other priceless bracelets, but she said she liked it and often wore it. I used to think Sophia really liked it, until last month, when I accidentally learned from Sophia's assistant that Sophia wore this bracelet to facilitate cooperation with some special units because it was cheap and not ostentatious. My eyes slowly fell on David's caption, "Today is my first day at work. I hope Ms. Sophia will give me more guidance in the future." Behind the sentence, there was a high-profile blowing egg kiss emoji. I thought they were so romantic, so I silently gave it a like and then removed him from my friend list. The next day, after washing up and getting ready to go to work, as soon as I opened the door, I saw a bouquet of bright black baccarat roses on the ground. I frowned and kicked the flowers aside. When I looked up, I met Sophia's displeased gaze. She was exquisitely dressed, with her beautiful long hair draped over her fragrant shoulders, like a walking doll living in an ivory tower. She was also holding a bag of take-out breakfast. Sophia asked in a cold voice, "Don't you like black baccarat roses the most?" I replied indifferently, "But I don't like the ones you give. How did you find this place?" She pursed her lips and said, "I found it according to the address where you ordered take-out." Hearing Sophia mention this, I remembered that I had once ordered take-out with her phone and was mocked by her for eating junk food at that time. I gave Sophia a cold look and walked towards the elevator. Sophia picked up the black baccarat roses and chased after me. In the last second before the elevator door closed, she rushed in and asked impatiently, "When are you moving back?" I looked at her coldly and replied, "That's not my home. Why would I go back?" "Sophia, please remember, we've broken up. Are you angry because I gave the deputy manager position to David?" She stared at me intently, softened her tone, and continued, "As long as you stop making trouble, I'll promote you later. David is just gaining experience in this position and will go back to his family's company soon. He won't be here for long." Hearing this, I felt extremely ironic. The position I had struggled so hard to get was nothing compared to someone else's words. It was as if everything I had done was a joke in Sophia's eyes. I met her gaze directly and said calmly, "No need. I don't need anything related to you anymore. I don't care about the position, nor do I need the wristwatch. And I don't want you either." Sophia's face darkened instantly upon hearing this. Just then, the elevator reached the first floor. Ignoring her ugly expression, I walked straight out. As soon as I arrived at the company, I saw David talking to Sophia's assistant in the lobby on the first floor. When he saw me, he greeted me with a smile, "James, I heard you took a leave today. Are you not feeling well?" As he spoke, he played with the metal cufflinks on the sleeve of his suit jacket. My eyes inadvertently fell on them, and I was suddenly stunned. That was the birthday gift Sophia said she would give me last month. She even asked me specifically because she was afraid I wouldn't like it. David noticed my gaze and pretended to be helpless. These cufflinks were given to me by Sophia. I didn't really want them, but she insisted. Don't they look nice? I wanted Sophia to buy you one too, but I found out it's a limited edition item. There are only 3 in the country, and this is the last one. It was obvious who was the favored one between me and David. I glanced indifferently at the ring on his ring finger and his cuff, and a faint smile appeared on my face. They're nice. They suit you very well. It's still early. You two should go to the Civil Affairs Bureau to register for marriage. I wish you two a lasting relationship. Hearing my perfunctory compliment, David almost couldn't keep the smile on his face. James, what are you talking about? You're Sophia's boyfriend. Thanks to you, we just broke up. Now you have a chance. Seize it. I calmly cheered him on, and after a few perfunctory words, I went upstairs. But because of this incident, I decided it would be better to leave here as soon as possible. Out of sight, out of mind. So in the afternoon, I directly replied to the vice president of the competitor company, clearly expressing my willingness to join the new company. All I needed to do next was to prepare to report to the new company next Monday. Today is the last day my parents are staying in Haicheng. I specifically made a reservation at a restaurant and took them there for dinner. My mom asked me, will Sophia join us? I shook my head and replied, we broke up. She won't come. When my dad heard this, the tense look on his face softened, and he comforted me, it's good that you've come to your senses. You two were never meant to be. Forcing it won't lead to a good outcome. His words, though harsh, held a truth. When we first got together, both our parents disagreed. Sophia's parents thought our family was too ordinary and not a good match for them. It was only through my unremitting efforts that I finally won their approval. In fact, I should have realized earlier that when you truly like someone, you're willing to make sacrifices. Just like me, not wanting to put Sophia in a difficult position, I tried to please her parents, while on my parents' side, I was the only one constantly trying to convince them. I promised earnestly, Dad, you're right. I won't be that stupid again. For once, our family had a meal without getting involved in any other topics, just simply enjoying the food. The next day, I personally saw my parents off as they got on the car to go back. The company already knew about my job hopping, and since the vice president of the new company was handling everything, I didn't need to go back to the old company. So I made an appointment with a real estate agent to look at houses. Fortunately, this agent was very reliable, and I found a house in just one day. The house was very close to the new company, only a 10-minute plus walk away, and I was quite satisfied. After signing the lease, I went back to the hotel to pack and move. But to my surprise, just as I finished packing and was about to order take out for dinner, an old colleague called me. He said, lucky for you that you had the foresight to leave early. Otherwise, you'd be furious. I looked at the phone, puzzled, and asked why. He said indignantly, the project you worked so hard to secure was snatched away by David, who suddenly came out of nowhere. He's so shameless, doing whatever he wants just because he has someone backing him up. Hearing this, I remembered which project it was. I had originally felt a bit bad and thought about doing some follow-up work to make it easier for the person who took over. But after what he said, I gave up the idea. It's okay. If he wants to do it, let him. The client for this project is extremely picky. Given David's temper, it'll be hard for him to succeed without anyone's help. I chatted with him for a while. Just as the call ended, an unknown number called. I was about to reject it, but my hand slipped, and I answered it by accident. Sophia's voice, tinged with anger, came through the phone. James, do you really have to take things this far? It seems Sophia also knew about my job hopping and was calling to blame me. I replied indifferently, say whatever you want. If there's nothing else, I'm hanging up. A good ex should be like they're dead, not lingering on. Thinking this, I added a setting to automatically block unknown numbers. After doing all this, I unexpectedly felt a long, lost sense of relief. In the past, no matter what I did, I would unconsciously look at Sophia's expression, afraid of making her angry. Gradually, I centered my life around her and lost myself. Even Sophia's mom couldn't help but remind me not to focus too much on Sophia. At that time, I didn't take it to heart. Now, looking back, what she said was indeed true. Life alone is really easy. I don't have to worry about others' expressions and can do whatever I want. When I'm bored, I can go to the cinema and watch a movie to my heart's content without worrying about the time. I'm enjoying the pleasures of living alone and loving every bit of it. However, happy times are always short-lived. I was surprised to find that my neighbor had changed. Looking at David, who was immaculately dressed in front of me, the smile on my face gradually froze. In the quiet corridor, only the DJ music from my phone could be heard. David was also surprised to see me and asked, puzzled, what are you doing here? I averted my gaze, and in his stunned look, I entered the password for the opposite door and walked in. I had thought Haichang was big enough, and as long as I didn't deliberately create coincidences, I wouldn't run into them. But unexpectedly, it was like going in circles. What bad luck! I tried not to think about it and went to work and came home as usual. But a few days later, after working overtime, I saw a familiar car parked outside the community. Sophia and David were standing in front of the car, talking about something. The look on his face was visibly downcast, while Sophia's face was gentle, her eyes full of smiles as she softly comforted him. Suddenly, David noticed me, walked over, and hugged Sophia. She was startled but didn't push him away. They were standing at the only entrance and exit, and I had to pass through there to get home. Oh, those lovebirds are so mushy. If they want a hug, they should go home. So embarrassing, an elderly grandma said as she walked past me. She couldn't stand their behavior and went up to scold them. I watched coldly and silently walked towards home. Sophia noticed me, and a look of guilt flashed in her eyes. She quickly pushed David away and walked towards me, anxiously saying, "Don't misunderstand. He's because..." I interrupted coldly, "It has nothing to do with me. Please move aside. You're in my way." "James, after all this time, are you still angry with Sophia?" David's eyes held a mix of sadness and guilt, but when Sophia wasn't looking, he threw me a provocative look. I was annoyed and retorted, "What exactly do you want? I've already wished you well. What are you trying to prove by acting in front of me?" "What do you mean by that?" Sophia asked, looking at us in confusion. David's face changed, and he said guiltily, "It's nothing." I replied helplessly, "Indeed, it's nothing. I just saw the affectionate photos he posted and sent my blessings." Sophia didn't understand my words and continued to ask. David panicked and deliberately changed the topic. "Sophia, don't you have a very important meeting today? You'd better go back and get ready." Watching his guilty, as charged look, I really wanted to laugh. Sophia hesitated for a moment, then finally gave me a deep look and drove away. After she left, David glared at me viciously and shouted, "Don't think that by using such tricks, Sophia will like you. She's mine, always will be." Facing his fierce expression, I waved my hand dismissively and said, "Yours, it's all yours. Wish you a happy life together." With that, I went straight home. But unexpectedly, the next day when I was going out to work, I saw Sophia standing outside the community again. Seeing her walking towards me, I immediately said, "I'm not David. Don't try to curry favor with me. James, I came to see you." Sophia's eyes were filled with sadness. She handed me the breakfast she had specially bought and said, "I bought this from your favorite breakfast place. You have a stomach problem. You should eat something in the morning." I got this stomach problem from drinking a few years ago, and she remembered it only now. I twitched the corner of my mouth and replied, "Do you think what you're doing makes any sense?" Sophia said, "Wronged, I never thought about breaking up. I was wrong about what happened before. I'll make it up to you gradually. Please give me another chance." She said it seriously, with a hint of caution in her eyes. I also looked at her seriously and said, "When you say these things, do you think about David? You unconditionally favor him on one hand and come here to play the affectionate card with me. Sophia, who do you think you are, doing whatever you want?" Sophia's face turned pale, and she said weakly, "I only regard David as my brother. I've never had any romantic feelings for him." I felt disgusted and said in revulsion, "Have you ever seen a sister give her brother a wristwatch with such special meaning? Seriously, if you like him so much, just marry him." Sophia's eyes turned slightly red, and her voice trembled as she said, "You're my boyfriend." I replied impatiently, "No, I stopped being your boyfriend the day you stood me up and gave him that wristwatch." I thought I had made myself very clear, but I didn't expect to receive afternoon tea from her in the afternoon. Oh, not just milk tea and cakes, but also this. The delivery guy carefully took out a small red velvet box from his pocket, the one I had seen in the wardrobe before. "The lady who placed the order said this is for you." I realized what it was and directly refused to accept it. The delivery guy looked at me embarrassedly and said, "Sir, this thing is too expensive." I was terrified when I was delivering it. "If you don't want to accept it, please return it yourself. If it gets lost, I can't afford to pay for it with 2 years' worth of my salary." As a fellow worker, I didn't want to make things difficult for him, so I took the red velvet box, but I didn't open it. I don't want something that belongs to someone else. I had planned to send the box to David when I got home from work, but then I learned that he had moved, and the house opposite was empty again. Helpless, I had to add Sophia back as a friend. As soon as we became friends again, I got straight to the point and asked her to send someone to take the wristwatch back. After all, I had worked in Sophia's company, and many people knew me. If they saw me returning the wristwatch, They might think all sorts of things, and it would be hard to handle if my current company found out. Sophia said, "Don't you like this wristwatch? I specifically got it back for you." Reading this, I got angry. After all, she still didn't understand what I meant. I replied angrily, "I don't want it. Send someone to take it away right now, or I'll throw it away." After that, she didn't reply. Instead, her mom sent me a message, asking to meet me the next day at a coffee shop across the street from my new company. Thinking it would be okay to meet and I could give the wristwatch to her, I agreed to the invitation. The next afternoon, I went to the appointment unhurriedly. As soon as Sophia's mom saw me, a smile spread across her face. "James, come on over. I ordered you coffee with 2 lumps of sugar. It's not bitter." I thanked her with a smile. As soon as I sat down, she got straight to the point. "James, I heard you've been trying to break up with Sophia recently. Is that true?" I smiled and replied, "It's not just trying. I'm serious." Sophia's mom's face showed obvious disappointment. "Actually, I really like you, kid. I hoped you and Sophia could keep dating. I've heard about what happened recently from her. She was really wrong. What she did was so disappointing. I understand why you chose to break up. It's just a pity. I've hinted and directly asked Sophia to get married before, but she always changed the topic. It's obvious she's resistant to the idea of getting married." Sophia's mom let out a heavy sigh and continued, "We're sorry to you. We wasted 4 years of your time. That's why I chose to let go. People who aren't suitable shouldn't be together." With that, I took out the small box from my bag and handed it to her. "Auntie, please take this back. We've broken up, and it's not appropriate for me to keep it." Sophia's mom's eyes twitched, and she asked with a glimmer of hope, "If Sophia gave you this, doesn't it mean she was thinking about getting married? Why don't you give it another try?" I shook my head with a faint smile. "Sophia said herself that this is just an ordinary ornament with no special meaning. Besides, I don't like her anymore. I'm moving forward and I won't look back." The hope that had just ignited in Sophia's mom's eyes vanished instantly. She took back the wristwatch and said sullenly, "Well, you're such a good young man. You definitely deserve better. It's our fault for spoiling Sophia." Returning the wristwatch, I felt a huge weight lifted off my shoulders. Just like the delivery guy said, this wristwatch was very expensive, and I couldn't afford to lose it. But at night, Sophia sent me a voice message. Her voice was slurred with drunkenness as she murmured, "You really won't give me even a little chance? You're just going to give up on our 4-year relationship like this?" I replied calmly, "It wasn't me who gave up first. It was you." I didn't want to argue with a drunk person, so I gave a final reminder. "Miss Sophia, I hope we can part amicably and move forward. Don't look back. We're all adults, so we should take responsibility for our choices. Also, we should know that not everything can be reversed." Without the entanglement of feelings, I threw myself into my work. The vice president of the company wanted to promote me, but he was hesitant because my resume wasn't as good as others. So he came to me and asked, "Are you willing to go abroad for further study? The company will cover all the expenses, but you have to sign a guarantee that you won't join other companies for nearly 20 years. In short, you'll be bound to the company. The company will train you, and you'll create value for the company." I didn't hesitate at all and replied, "Okay, I'll go." The leader smiled and asked, "Aren't you going to discuss it with your family?" I smiled faintly. "My family will support my decision." He then asked, "What about your girlfriend?" I replied indifferently, "I don't have a girlfriend." With that, the vice president didn't say anything more and just told me to go back and get ready for going abroad. I told my parents about this, and as I expected, they were very supportive. In my life, the only thing that disappointed them was my insistence on being with Sophia and losing myself in the process. Now that I've come out of it, they're happier than anyone. With their approval, I started to go through the procedures for going abroad. However, Sophia found out that I was going abroad and came to me again. When I came back from work and saw her waiting outside the community, a look of annoyance flashed in my eyes. "What are you doing here again?" Sophia looked at me with caution, hesitated for a long time, and then said, "James, are you going abroad because of me?" I looked at her with disgust. "Don't flatter yourself. It has nothing to do with you." Sophia's eyes were red as she said, "Then why are you suddenly going abroad? I never saw you like this before." I said impatiently, "Sophia, you've never really understood me or liked me. Why are you pretending to be affectionate now?" Sophia's face changed, and she quickly explained, "Who says I don't like you? James, I know I was out of line before and hurt you, but I really like you, that's why I was with you." If it was before, I would have been happy to hear this, but now, I just found it funny. Just because you like me, do I have to like you? Be self-aware. Don't bother me anymore. With that, I walked past her without a second glance and entered the community. I was going to be abroad for 3 years, and it would be a waste of money to continue renting in China. So I went to the landlord and told her my situation. Fortunately, the landlord was understanding. So my annual rent payment was changed to monthly, and it would end by the end of this month. An old colleague heard that I was going abroad and called to wish me well. After chatting for a few words, he started talking about the company's gossip again. The project you were after was cancelled as expected. The client only agreed to cooperate with us because of you. Changing people at the last minute was the company's fault. When they were questioned, David went crazy on the spot, saying they had no vision. Things got so bad that they might have put our company on the blacklist. Listening to his complaining, I leisurely wiped my newly bought golf club and said, "It's okay. It's not your fault. Just do your job well. The higher-ups won't blame you." He scratched his head and continued, "That's true, but Sophia's assistant is in a tough spot. She was fired on the grounds of slacking off. Then she was so angry that she filed for arbitration. I don't know if she can clear her name." Hearing this, I felt a deep sense of pity. Sophia's assistant was quite capable. She had worked with me as an intern for a while. She was dedicated to her work, and she must be very unwilling to encounter such a thing. But I didn't expect that in the evening. I saw that the assistant was live streaming, accusing Sophia's company and demanding a satisfactory answer. Presumably, many people had experienced similar things of taking the blame. Soon, tens of thousands of people flooded into the live streaming room. The comment section was full of people condemning Sophia's company, calling Sophia a heartless entrepreneur. But soon, the assistant revealed the whole story, and now, not only Sophia but also the culprit, David, was being scolded. You guys don't know. The deputy manager of our department should have been another excellent employee. But this crazy guy came out of nowhere, snatched the position, and forced that person to leave. He's like a bad apple spoiling the whole bunch. Sophia's company was forced to come out and apologize, but it didn't help. Sophia had no choice but to call me and ask me to clarify. I sneered, "Is there a single word she said wrong? Why should I lie for your mistakes?" I gave her a cold rebuke and hung up the phone on my own. The reputation of Sophia's company kept declining, affecting the company's stock. A group of shareholders stood up and expressed their dissatisfaction. After careful consideration, Sophia chose the company over David. Before long, I saw a statement issued by Sophia's company, announcing David's dismissal and holding him accountable for the company's damaged reputation. David was hopping mad and got his family to intervene and exert pressure. However, Sophia's family was no pushover either. Since they had shown no mercy, Sophia's family naturally reciprocated in kind. While the two families were engaged in an internal feud, I had already boarded the plane to go abroad, and a new chapter of my life began from that moment. The vice president of the company was very considerate. Worried that I might get lost in a foreign country, he specifically arranged for his Chinese-American cousin to pick me up. Despite the vice president being balding, his cousin was a slender and graceful beauty. When I saw this pretty and cute girl in front of me, I was momentarily taken aback. "Are you Mark's cousin, Olivia?" Olivia stuck out her tongue and said playfully, looking at me, "Yeah, and you're James?" After I confirmed, Olivia naturally took my luggage and strode out of the airport. Seeing this, I quickly followed, trying to take the luggage back, but she just carried it and walked briskly. Mark had arranged a single-person apartment for me. Although it wasn't large, it gave me a sense of security. I looked around and a satisfied expression crossed my face. Olivia put down the luggage, pointed to the apartment next door, and said, "I live there. If you need anything, just come to me." After saying that, she gave me a long look and then turned to go home. I didn't think much of it and started to tidy up the room. At first, I really wasn't used to being in a foreign country. At night, I even had some problems adjusting to the local environment. Fortunately, Olivia was there. She handled these things with ease. Later, I learned that it was because, as a translator, she often traveled around different countries and thus had experience dealing with such situations. One day, after a full day of work, Olivia came to invite me specifically to a barbecue party at her place. She had a lot of friends, and they were all warm-hearted. I was a bit reserved at first, but as I got along with them, I gradually adapted. Suddenly, my phone in my pocket rang. I excused myself and went into the room to answer the call. It was an old colleague. "James, I'm not disturbing you, am I?" I looked at the lights outside the window and smiled. "No, what's up?" I just wanted to tell you about Ms. Sophia. He seemed to be speaking in a hushed tone, as if trying to hide. I heard from others just now that Ms. Sophia has gone kind of crazy recently. She's always wandering around outside a community. After getting drunk, she keeps muttering someone's name. I didn't really want to tell you this, but they found out that you used to live there, so they started suspecting that you have something going on with Ms. Sophia. After hearing what he said, I remained quite calm and said softly, "That's not true. I don't know her well." Just as I finished speaking, Olivia's voice came from outside the door, "James, the barbecue is ready. Come out quickly." "Coming," I replied, and then said to my colleague, "Someone's calling me. I'll hang up now." After hanging up, I looked out of the window and happened to meet Olivia's smiling eyes in the air. My new life shouldn't be disrupted by the past. I put away my phone and walked out.